How many people here are familiar with Polycultural Weekend? So majority of class is not informed about this weekend. So basically, as defined, as explained on the Cal Poly website, Polycultural Weekend, or better known as PCW, is a weekend event hosted by the university that invites culturally diverse accepted high school seniors and transfer students to engage in the cultural clubs offered on campus to get a feel for the campus life and academics offered here at Cal Poly. Though many students come to this weekend committed to Cal Poly already, this weekend is part of the deciding factor for uncommitted students. The underlying goal for PCW is to increase diversity on campus. Cal Poly is neither as diverse or inclusive as the institution claims to be. Inclusivity and diversity continue to be a problem here on campus. Oprah claimed that we are the happiest city in the world, but how come diversity and inclusivity are an issue? Well, to begin, I will define what diversity and inclusivity mean. According to the Oxford English Dictionary, inclusivity is an intention or policy of including people who might otherwise be excluded or marginalized, such as those who are handicapped or learning disabled, or racial and sexual minorities. And according to the Oxford English Dictionary, the definition of diversity is the condition or quality of being diverse, different, or varied. In an article written by Reginald Stewart, the author claims that diversity is more than just race nowadays. Today, diversity is also about religion, sexual orientation, and disabilities, both mental and physical. So why does Cal Poly need diversity and inclusivity? Well, 57.2% of Cal Poly students are white. According to a New Times SLO article called Out in the Open, Cal Poly SLO Confronts Its Diversity Problem, written in 2016, it says that Cal Poly has more Caucasian students than any four-year public university in California combined. That is a lot of people. This college remains as the least ethnically diverse four-year public university in California. This statistic can bring discomfort for underrepresented members of the university and feel like they do not belong here. In a study published this year in the Journal of Interpersonal Violence by the University of Pittsburgh Graduate School of Public Health, students who perceive that their college campus is more inclusive and welcoming of sexual and gender minority people have lower odds of being victims of sexual assault. And with this graph, you can see that going back to the statistic that 57.2% of the campus is primarily white, you can see that the next highest race of minorities are Hispanic and Latino, and this is disregarding Caucasians to see the really big difference. And in this graph, you can really see the difference. To point out, I'd like to point out the African American statistic of 0.8% of the population, and to give you a better understanding, that's 166 students on this campus, compared to thousands. So, going back to inclusivity, racist, homophobic, and sexist incidents continue to happen on campus. This creates a hostile environment and really separates minorities from each other on campus. Diversity and inclusion at college is really important, and in an article called Why Does Diversity Matter at College Anyways, written in 2009, it explains that diversity enhances social development, worldliness, and prepares students for future career success. These traits are beneficial to college students because it will help adjusting to being a responsible and more mature adult. And in another article called Promoting Inclusion and Identity Safety to Support College Success, written in 2016, diversity and inclusion at college will ensure a positive college experience for underrepresented students and will keep the retention rate high. The positive effects of diversity and inclusivity include the sense of belonging, multicultural competence, evolving ethnic identity, interethnic connectedness, and politicized ethnicity, as defined in the Ethnicity in College book. So, how can we actually do this? Luckily, Cal Poly is already taking great strides to confront its inclusion and diversity problems. This effort can be seen through President Armstrong co-leading a march in solidarity after a student received a death threat from another peer. Or the Inclusion Starts With Me campaign that encourages minority students to really be confident in one's culture and feel a sense of belonging in which they do belong here on campus. Or the all-gender restrooms available in some dorms and buildings, like how in the UU, they sometimes convert the gendered restrooms to unisex. And also the newly added gender-inclusive housing since last year. Another way to promote inclusivity on campus and diversity is through cultural clubs that promote diversity and inclusion. Cal Poly offers cultural organizations like the Filipino Cultural Exchange, Chinese Students Association, Korean American Students Association, and so on. And I am part of the Filipino Cultural Exchange, where these cultural clubs alike aim to spread awareness to the challenges underrepresented students may face and promote diversity. And in an article called Campus Cultural Clubs Help Find a Niche, it explains that the main purpose of these cultural, ethnic, and language clubs is to promote a community for such students. This can provide a much-needed support as you adjust to the college life because of this culture shock. So, to give you a visualization, imagine a campus where people lack knowledge or awareness regarding cultural and social adversities. People will tear each other down and do not have a care in what their actions do to their peers. This can be seen through racist, homophobic, or sexist incidences that have already happened here on campus, and not to mention that there is already a racist controversy that happened over the weekend. So, now imagine a campus where people are educated and not apathetic towards minorities and underrepresented members of campus. People are educated enough to confront those who are not promoting diverse and inclusive ideas. Many more people will get along and campus climate will not be as rocky. In an article called Ethnicity in College, they say that interacting with members of other ethnic groups has helped me be more sensitive to other people and see things through their eyes. So there's a sense of empathy and just relating to each other, that we are all like in the same boat. And in another article called One Size Doesn't Fit at All, the author explains that diversity is like inviting people to a party. The speaker explained, inclusion is asking them to dance, and we have to interact and engage. So, I want to encourage you to promote inclusion on campus by going to the cross-cultural center, like rooms and events like this, the MCC, the Multicultural Center, or stopping by the booths during UU hour and getting a feel for what they have to offer, or utilizing gender-neutral restrooms and promoting them so others can feel comfortable using them too, or participating in cultural clubs and events like Culture Fest, which is in fall quarter and where all the cultural organizations come together and sell food and play games and perform and really just share their culture. And lastly, be mindful of what you say regarding minorities, people of color, and just underrepresented students. You never know what can affect other people.